How is this even possible? SpaceX just revealed their V3 fuel transfer tube that's literally the size of an entire Falcon 9 rocket. This thing is about to change everything. But wait, there's more. While SpaceX is building the future, NASA is falling apart. 2,100 senior employees are leaving. Budget cuts are slashing science funding in half. James Webb and Hubble telescopes are fighting for survival. How can SpaceX be soaring while NASA is crashing? What does this mean for the future of space exploration? Let's dive right in. Remember when everyone said SpaceX was crazy for trying to land rockets? Well, they just did it again. This V3 fuel transfer tube isn't just big, it's literally the size of an entire Falcon 9 rocket. But here's the kicker. It fits inside Super Heavy's belly like a perfectly engineered spine. Picture this massive structure getting hoisted vertical at Starbase, passing through Megabay 2's doors while engineers watched in disbelief. The tube is wrapped in reinforcement rings from top to bottom, making it look like some kind of metallic backbone designed to survive the apocalypse. But why does SpaceX need something this insane? The brutal truth is that Starship's previous flip maneuvers were basically controlled chaos. The old system relied on gravity and atmospheric drag, essentially hoping physics would cooperate. Flight 9 proved this approach was a ticking time bomb. Here's what was killing SpaceX's dreams: fuel delivery. When you're dealing with 33 Raptor engines that need to fire simultaneously, you can't afford even a microsecond of fuel starvation. Just one engine getting fuel late creates a catastrophic imbalance. Think about balancing 33 flaming torches while standing on a tightrope, except the torches are rocket engines and the tightrope is suspended in space. That's what SpaceX was dealing with every single flight. Elon Musk himself dropped the bombshell on social media. This tube has to be very buff because it faces extreme loads, and a single leak could be game over. Let that sink in. One tiny crack and a multi-billion-dollar rocket becomes the world's most expensive fireworks display. But here's where SpaceX's genius shows. This isn't just a fuel tube. It's actually a fuel header tank that acts like a high-pressure reservoir. When those 33 Raptors scream for fuel, they get it instantly, simultaneously, with surgical precision. No more staggered ignitions, no more fuel delivery delays, no more praying the flip maneuver works. Remember Flight 9's flip maneuver? It worked, but it was inefficient and risky. The booster burned precious fuel and couldn't guarantee perfect control. Now imagine that same maneuver with lightning-fast precision. The V3 system changes the entire game. Instead of complex fuel routing through multiple pathways, the header tank delivers fuel exactly where it's needed, when it's needed. It's like upgrading from a garden hose to a fire department's main line. The difference is explosive. This enables what SpaceX calls simultaneous engine ignition, all 33 Raptors firing at the exact same millisecond. The redundancy is staggering. Even if multiple engines fail, the remaining ones compensate instantly without dangerous imbalances. But wait, while SpaceX celebrates this breakthrough, there's a question nobody's asking. What happens to everyone else in the space game? While SpaceX unveils revolutionary technology, NASA is facing its worst crisis since Challenger. The numbers are absolutely devastating. 2,100 senior employees walking out the door. That's not just headcount. That's institutional knowledge. Decades of experience, irreplaceable expertise vanishing. The disaster started when Jared Isaacman's nomination for NASA administrator got mysteriously withdrawn. Isaacman wasn't just any candidate. He's the Shift 4 founder, Inspiration 4 commander, someone who actually understands both technical and business sides of space. But here's the political bombshell. Musk had endorsed Isaacman, and insiders believe that endorsement actually killed his chances. The White House labeled him inappropriate for the role without explanation. The message was clear. We don't want Musk's guy running NASA. Enter Sean Duffy, the interim administrator. His space experience. He managed air traffic control systems. While that sounds space adjacent, critics are asking, is directing airplane traffic the same as managing missions to Mars? The leadership crisis is just the warm-up act. The proposed budget cuts are absolutely apocalyptic for NASA's science programs. We're talking about slashing science funding by nearly 50%, a reduction so brutal it threatens the very instruments that revolutionized our understanding of the universe. James Webb Space Telescope funding, $187 million down to $140 million. Hubble Space Telescope, $93.3 million slashed to $85 million. These aren't just numbers. They represent the operational capacity of humanity's most powerful cosmic observatories. Neil Reed from the Space Telescope Science Institute delivered the brutal truth. NASA science is cut by a factor of 2. Astrophysics is cut by 2/3. Think about what that means. The telescope that cost over $10 billion and sits a million miles from Earth could operate at reduced capacity just when it's making groundbreaking discoveries. Here's the irony that's absolutely infuriating. While NASA's iconic telescopes face budget cuts, the agency pours money into the Space Launch System, a rocket that costs $4 billion per launch and has flown exactly twice. Meanwhile, SpaceX's Starship is designed for multiple daily launches at a fraction of the cost. The contrast is absolutely stunning, but there's deeper irony. NASA's science programs deliver immediate returns through discoveries benefiting all humanity. From revealing early galaxy formation to discovering potentially habitable exoplanets, these telescopes provide knowledge guiding future missions. Yet they're being sacrificed for infrastructure projects with longer timelines and less direct scientific output. The contrast couldn't be more stark. SpaceX builds revolutionary technology, transforming space exploration, while NASA hemorrhages talent and cuts programs that defined American space leadership for decades. Those 2,100 employees leaving NASA? They're not retiring quietly. Many join private companies, taking decades of taxpayer-funded expertise with them. It's the largest brain drain in NASA's history, happening exactly when space exploration becomes commercially viable. Defense contractors lose NASA contracts. University research programs shut down. International partnerships get questioned. America's allies ask, if NASA can't maintain science programs, can it lead international space missions? Meanwhile, China rapidly advances space capabilities, and Europe strengthens independent programs. The timing couldn't be worse for America to appear weak and divided in space. Here's the twist nobody expected. This isn't about budget constraints or efficiency, it's about power. The tension between Trump and Musk over NASA's direction reflects a deeper struggle over who controls America's space future. Musk's Isaac Mann endorsement was seen as overreach by the White House. The message was clear. Private industry builds rockets, but government decides policy. The problem? This political posturing happens while China launches Moon and Mars missions. Here's the scary reality. NASA's Artemis program depends on SpaceX's Starship for lunar landings. If NASA's budget cuts continue, the agency might lack personnel or programs supporting Artemis missions. That leaves America's moon program entirely dependent on a private company. Is that necessarily bad? Maybe not. But it represents a fundamental shift in American space exploration. Instead of government-led missions with private contractors, we're moving toward private-led missions with government oversight. The question becomes, what happens when private companies' goals don't align with national interests? SpaceX wants Mars. NASA wants the moon. What happens when those priorities conflict? There's another consequence nobody discusses: international perception. When other countries see NASA cutting science programs, while SpaceX advances technology, they question America's commitment to space exploration as a public good. James Webb and Hubble aren't just American assets. They're humanity's assets. Discoveries benefit scientists worldwide. When America cuts funding for these programs, it signals space exploration is becoming privatized and commercialized. But SpaceX's V3 system represents the opposite message. Private innovation can solve problems government agencies couldn't. It's a powerful demonstration of what's possible when engineering excellence meets commercial incentives. We're approaching a critical moment in American space policy. Decisions made in coming months will determine whether America maintains space exploration leadership or cedes that role to private companies and foreign governments. The V3 fuel transfer tube represents more than improved rocket technology. It's a symbol of what American innovation achieves when properly funded and managed. The contrast with NASA's budget cuts couldn't be more stark or important. But here's the real kicker that changes everything. SpaceX's V3 system enables capabilities that make NASA's current approach look absolutely ancient. While NASA struggles with budget cuts, SpaceX is building technology that could make government space agencies obsolete. The V3 system doesn't just improve Starship, it enables entirely new mission profiles. Simultaneous engine ignition means perfect flip maneuvers. Perfect flip maneuvers mean reliable reusability. Reliable reusability means space access costs plummet. When space access becomes cheap and reliable, everything changes. Commercial space stations become profitable. Mars missions become economically viable. The entire space economy transforms from government-funded exploration to commercial enterprise. That's the real threat to NASA's traditional role. If SpaceX makes space access cheap and routine, why do we need a massive government space agency? Why fund expensive government programs when private companies deliver better results faster and cheaper? This is the story of two Americas, one building the future of space exploration, one abandoning the programs that made America a spacefaring nation. The outcome will determine not just America's space future, but its role in the emerging space economy that could define the next century. So here we are. SpaceX just unveiled technology that makes science fiction look conservative, while NASA, the agency that put humans on the moon, is literally falling apart. The V3 system isn't just an upgrade, it's a declaration that the future of space belongs to those bold enough to reimagine everything. But this raises the ultimate question. Are we witnessing the natural evolution of human spaceflight? Or are we abandoning the collaborative spirit that made space exploration humanity's greatest achievement? The decisions made in the next few months won't just determine America's space future. They'll define whether space becomes humanity's shared frontier or a playground for the highest bidders. What do you think? Should space exploration remain a public endeavor, or is it time to let private innovation lead the way? Drop your thoughts below, because this conversation is just getting started. And if you want to stay ahead of the space revolution that's reshaping our world, hit that subscribe button. The future is coming faster than ever, and Space Corps will make sure you don't miss a single moment of it. How is this even possible? NASA just revealed DreamChaser's 1.5G landing absolutely destroys Dragon's brutal 3 to 4G ocean crash. But wait, it gets worse for SpaceX. DreamChaser carries 33 cubic meters of pressurized cargo, while Dragon manages only 9.3. NASA's been hiding this winged spaceplane that lands on runways like a normal aircraft. Why would they keep this secret? Let's dive right in. Here's what SpaceX doesn't want you to know about those successful Dragon landings. Every single time Dragon hits the ocean, it's experiencing forces that would crush a human body. We're talking about 3 to 4 Gs of pure punishment. Imagine being pressed into your seat by an invisible giant while your million-dollar space experiments get hammered into oblivion. But here's the kicker. NASA has been watching this destruction happen for over a decade, mission after mission. Those delicate protein crystals that pharmaceutical companies spent months growing in zero gravity turned into expensive ocean debris. The biological samples that could lead to breakthrough cancer treatments, destroyed by salt water and brutal impact forces. Yet they kept using Dragon because they thought they had no choice. But what if I told you NASA was secretly developing something that makes Dragon look like a relic from the Stone Age? While everyone was obsessing over SpaceX's rockets, NASA quietly developed DreamChaser, a winged rebel that's about to flip the entire space industry upside down. This isn't just another spacecraft. It's a complete revolution in how we think about returning from space. The numbers are absolutely staggering, and they reveal why NASA kept this secret for so long. Dragon's pressurized cargo bay, a cramped 9.3 cubic meters, basically a walk-in closet. DreamChaser, a spacious 33 cubic meters of perfectly climate-controlled space. That's like comparing a phone booth to a luxury apartment. But volume isn't even the real game changer here. It's what happens when these spacecraft return to Earth that will blow your mind. Let's talk about what those G-forces actually do to your body and precious cargo. When Dragon crashes into the ocean at 3 to 4 Gs, it's like being in a car accident, but in reverse. Your internal organs shift, your vision blurs, and any delicate equipment gets absolutely hammered. Those space-grown protein crystals that companies like Merck are developing for new medicines, they shatter like glass on impact. The biological samples that could revolutionize drug development, they're contaminated by salt water before scientists can even study them. DreamChaser's 1.5G landing, it's gentler than most